So are you liquored up? I can't wait to have some mimosas when this is over. Listen, we're going to kick off. I promise you this isn't as long as the first set, but it's full of bad stuff. You're a wonderful audience, and you're honoring me by being here, and my friends here. So are you ready for another round? By God, let's take off. San Francisco, 1972. I arrived in San Francisco in 1971, actually at the end of 71. Thank God I'd had a lot of fun in Hawaii. Went to every island. I had 2 different murder attempts on me, but the usual. And I ended up stowing away on a TWA flight to San Francisco. And I arrived late fall, San Francisco. Now, San Francisco also was run down. In the early 70s, everything in this country that was a major metropolis was broke. It was actually more fun that way, but don't tell anyone I said so. So in San Francisco, I was living in the Mission District with a lot of people that I had met in college and so forth and so on. Everybody had gravitated out there. It was the second wave for San Francisco. There'd been the Haight-Ashbury thing, and now the second wave. And right behind our house, you could hear every day, you could hear Boz Scaggs and Santana rehearsing. It was magic, and I love walking to this day. So I would walk around town, and wherever you walked, anywhere on the planet Earth in late 71, 72, the soundtrack to everyone's life was Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album, the whole album. And to this day, honestly, a masterpiece. So, about Halloween, I realized I've got to get a place of my own, and I found out at this place called the Grub Steak, which is a hamburger place down in an area off of Pine Street or whatever, that they had these rooms for rent, and it was a gay boarding house, $12 a week, and it was right there between Chinatown and Coit Tower. That would be like $20,000 a month now. It was $12 a week. But it had been, I think properly, it had been a whorehouse during the Go Rush. So every room was this patinaed, people had smoked for a million years, rooms with little platforms that I assume, had once had a little feather bed on it. And everyone in the entire boarding house was gay. So you had all these characters. You had the guy in no particular order. There was the Eskimo, and that's what he called himself. He's the Eskimo who was on Thorazine. So he never spoke. He was just an Eskimo on Thorazine. But he was kind of cute, but, every now and then I'd say hello. He just, And then there was the guy that thought he was Janis Joplin. And Janis Joplin had done the album called Pearl, so he wanted to be called Pearl, and he had the things hanging down him. I just thought he was loathsome, but I couldn't stand Janis Joplin. I'd seen her sing live a million times, and she was always sharp and drunk, and I just thought, now I'm living next door to somebody that thinks they're Janis Joplin. It was so wrong. Anyway, I had started making my living by making these T-shirts. They would be T-shirts, and I would take make faces, animal faces out of calico fabrics, like quilting fabrics, and then surround them by hand with a rickrack, and then do antique button faces, and they'd be different things. And I'd sell them down in the financial district. I am now 27, and I was every mother's nightmare, and every sister's nightmare too. But she still wants to be anonymous. She's here. Where is she? There she is. She's been outed. But I would sell them for $7 during the financial district. But again, I was entrepreneurial and I was doing well and everything, but not that well. But everything's relative. I could pay my rent. And other people started following suit. So now there was too many people down there that were doing these things and selling things, and so they were running us out of the financial district, and I was really struggling now to make a living. So I happened to be back at the Grub Steak again, the hamburger place where some of the guys that I knew were working, and they had a contest thing. Let me give you a little backstory here. At that point in time, John Waters, the underground filmmaker from Baltimore, his muse was Divine, the drag queen, the transvestite, and with the head back and the eyebrows. Well, at that point, she had only made like two really very sort of lukewarm, sort of underground films, Mondo Trasho, I think, and something else, but she was now hanging all over San Francisco. And again, I'm reminding people, it's not history then, and you're just seeing her around all the time. It's just like seeing, flowers when you're at Kroger's. I mean, it's there, but, So, you have been drinking. I like this crowd. Mercy. Let's do some hymns. No. You can't take Chiago in here. Chiago. Anyway, there was a contest to be Divine's date to the San Francisco premiere of Pink Flamingos. And I don't remember entering myself, but I have since figured out when I read in my journal that my friend, again, the non-sexual gay lover, my friend Stephen, had entered me, and Stephen was kind of a quasi-manager of the Grape Steak. And so one night I'm at the bachelor quarters, and I get called down to the lobby, and I go down to the lobby, and there's a man down there, and you guessed it, I've won the contest. I'm going to be Divine's date to the premiere of Pink Flamingos. So I'm not really excited about that particularly, because Divine's just Divine, But I am excited because they said that they were going to give me $125, and that way then I would be paying for everything all evening, wherever we went from, bar to bar, this or that and everything, and the limousine would pick me up and everything, and so forth and so on. Well, finally the time came. And just like clockwork, there's the limousine. Divine's in the limousine but doesn't get out, and always in that fishtail. Well, there's a punctuation. It's all right. I've got several. I've got backstock. But, so anyway, they come and pick me up. And then, and I just, some water or something so that I can drink, because I'll get thirsty when this story's over. So I'm now standing there and I'm waiting, and I come out, and when they open the door and Divine sees me, it was as if you had given a rabbi a canned ham. It turns out Divine liked white trash guys with bad teeth who were flirting with meth and would abuse her. And I kind of, that one of those, sort of like, I want rough trade and everything. And, of course, I'm kind of this wholesome hippie who's handsome and doesn't even drink particularly. And I'm wearing my handmade. These was what I'd wear when it's let's say, cocktail attire. These are the fabrics that I would make the T-shirts out of. So I come out and I'm wearing these. And that's not the problem. It was not another fashion statement. She just really decided she just loathed me. And so, what is that? So she wouldn't even talk to me in the car. She would only talk to me through an intermediary. And I thought, well, so it was so rude. And then really the Palace Theater was not very far from there. I mean, really, it was very close, actually. And so we pull up in front of the Palace Theater, and the handler tells me she does not want anyone walking the red carpet with her, although that's not what they called it then. And you stay in the car. They'd given me the money, incidentally, the envelope with the money, because, there was no such thing as credit cards really then. And they give me that, and And, she's going to go in, she's going to do her thing, and then I'm welcome to come in, they said. And then, because I've won the contest, I am welcome to come back and get in the car, and then we'll go on all evening, and I'll be paying for things using this money and blah, blah, blah. So she goes in, and I'm sitting there, and I wait until she gets in there, and then I tiptoed through the tulips right back to North Beach with my $125 damn dollars. Yes. It was nice. Now, I love this story because this is true and this is what happens. And the guys like this story. It's because they've got this sort of testosterone trash side to them that he doesn't show when he's running the Singapore Slingers. But that's a whole other show. I've gone down and I've sewed 2 of the T-shirts down in the financial district that day, and I'm very excited. And to this day, really, I'll be 70 in April, and you can see I'm pretty full of energy. So can you imagine me at 27 or 26? It's like, so I'm running up the hill. It's not on Grant Street, which is where our thing was that, goes through Chinatown, but I was going in a perpendicular street, and I'm running up this hill. It was the only way to really get up that hill. It was so steep going to Coit. So I'm just running, and then as I get around the corner, seriously, I'm going, and I'm leaning over, and I'm gasping as I come, but I'm on to Grant, and I lean over, and my head smashes into something, and I look up, and my head, my face, my nose had gone right here into Barbra Streisand's breasts. There was the car. There is the thrift store, the vintage clothing stores that she loved. She was making What's Up Doc. She had her hair in that sort of wonderful swept bun and things like that and everything. She was 28 years old. And let me tell you something. I'm certifiably not heterosexual, but I, for a moment, understood the appeal of smashing your nose right about here into ample breasts of a 28-year-old international superstar. I don't want to get into the nursing mother thing, but God. But I don't know why, but particularly when I told this story at Sons of Herman, I was moved afterwards because only then did I realize how different this story is from a lot of the stories you hear. I can't tell you how lovely she was. I have just smashed right into her, and she looks right up at me, and she says, "Cute short," or however she did, and tweaked my shirt. And I said, "Well, this is what I do for a living." And then, of course, I promise you, I know it's hard to believe I was boyish then, and enthusiastic, but I went, well, I think I know what you do for a living, and I was so starstruck. She has pale, beautiful aqua eyes. I can tell by the way you're nodding. You've met her. And I don't know. She was so lovely. And she turned. Here's the car. There's the entrance to the thrift store. And she turns to what apparently is her assistant handler or whatever and says to her, "How many are on our set?" And blah, blah, blah. And they start doing this thing. And then she turns to me and she says, "Could you make 48 of those? Could you make 48 of those?" And I said, of course I'm going, "Oh, yes. Oh, of course I could." And she said, "Well, could you make," it's like Monday afternoon. She said, "Could you make them by Friday morning?" It was Monday or Tuesday afternoon. It was going to be, I think, about a 3.5-day window. And she said, "Because I can tell you, we're going to be filming at Ghirardelli Square on Friday at around 11:30. And if you can deliver those then," she said, "you can make them any color, any sizes, any different numbers of animals, that you want to. But if you can just have those, we'll have the money there for you and everything." And you can just imagine, first of all, how could I possibly have done that with the seed money if I hadn't just robbed Divine? I said, Many times my gay credentials have been questioned, but let me tell you something. When you've robbed an internationally known drag queen and then smashed your face into Barbra Streisand's breast, the only thing missing was me sleeping with Judy Garland, while Elton John sang, Jack Daniel or something. So I went back to the boarding house, and I just got everybody lined up. All these gay men. All of a sudden, it's gonna be a sweatshop. I mean, I'm passing out. I go down into Chinatown. I buy the T-shirts. I've got the money. I'm passing them out. I'm telling people what size to cut the rack. I'm going through. I'm just absolutely running a sweatshop. Up and down, up and down, up and down. I went and scored some amphetamines. They need to sew faster. Stop smoking dope. Take these pills. Barbara's waiting. So, of course, I was afraid no one would believe me. So I take the biggest gossip in the bachelor quarters is the name of that boarding house, and the biggest gossip was Pearl, the Janis Joplin wannabe that kept lip syncing, Down on Me or whatever the song was. So I take her with me now. So finally it's Friday morning. I've got all these shirts ready. I've got them all boxed up. We go to Ghirardelli Square. And this is the part that I love the most, because I didn't realize until I was telling this story how wrong this could have gone. But I show up at Ghirardelli Square, and the very first, again, I was so fresh-faced optimistic. I'm not sitting around right now brooding every moment either. But I mean, I don't know. I was flying on faith, and I said to the guard, of course they're guarding the set and and the thing, that I was supposed to do this, and he let me through the stanchions. And then there's another guard guarding her trailer, and it's right where she said it was. And I say something to them, and they just let me through. And then there's somebody that's guarding right at the door, and they knock on the door. And when they do, the door opens, and there is the assistant. And the assistant says, I can see, incidentally, Ryan O'Neal and Barbra Streisand are actually acting way over there, and you can see them. But she says, are there 48 shirts? She's looking at the thing, and I said, yes, they are. And she said, she's not even checking it, and she hands me an envelope with $438 in it. My God. Oh, my God. And you know what I decided? I'm so ashamed. How many of you believe that? I thought, you know what? I'm going to Europe. And I'm going to tell you this much. Wait a minute. I just knew that stowing away on an international flight was going to be a little dicey. But I'd think, oh, you can do it. I don't know. Yeah, you can do it. So I got a passport. And because my name is Rollins Harrison Gilliland, and we won't even tell you, I did so many things that were against the law. I know you're shocked. But this is the actual journal of that trip. And here's something that I read there. It says there, despite other inevitable setbacks and disappointments in life to come, I shall rest well that I was not one more person who always thought they'd go to Europe. Instead, it would take an act of God and no less to prevent it now. Remember, it wasn't that common then. And I'm on the Lufthansa flight from LA to Amsterdam, and I won't tell how I got on that flight. There's no statute of limitations. I didn't murder anybody, I promise you. That's the next story. No. But I remember they never had like male stewards on flights, and all of a sudden I'm on this German flight, and this blonde German, I don't think they make an ugly German. I know Christiane's out there somewhere going, well, you're damn right about that. But, you know, this guy comes up to me and in that German accent with the blue eyes and blonde hair asks me if I want some champagne. And I say, you bet I do, because you see, my adult adventures are going global.